NFL fans, we have finally made it to the wild card round. We are finally in the playoffs. We have 6 games this weekend, 6 games spanning through 3 days. Man, as a football fan, it really doesn't get better than this. I say this to my friends, and I say this to anyone that follows the sport. Treasure this weekend and treasure the next month and a half, because after this, we don't have football for another 7 months or something. It's a very sad time, but it's also a great time. We're finally at the climax of this entire ride. So let's break it down, and let's start with the Rams-Panthers. Just going to be honest, I don't have much of a breakdown for this game because I don't see it being as competitive. I mean, the spread opened up, I think, at 10.5 for the Rams, and that's in Carolina. Mind you, they've also played Carolina and lost to them, and that's still the spread. I think that tells you everything, and I think it makes sense. Just because, again, I want to give the Panthers, respect. Look, they had a great year for their standards. They end up winning the division. But just to be objective, they didn't look good really at the end of the season when it really, really mattered. I mean, you relied on Atlanta just to get you into the playoffs. You couldn't even beat Tampa. I don't know. Look, again, the Panthers, for their standards this year, it was a good year. You're in the playoffs. You win the division. Bryce Young did develop a little bit. We saw a lot from Tet. I like what I saw from Rico Dowdle this year. There were definitely some playmakers on that defense. But I think this team is just a couple pieces away really from still being even really, I guess, a threat in the NFC. Hey, look, they're in the playoffs because of their weak division, but when we compare them to the Rams, I just don't see it. And yes, they did beat the Rams, but context matters. The Rams, in my opinion, lost because Matt Stafford threw 2 interceptions, one of those being that crucial pick 6. And for me personally, as long as Stafford doesn't turn the ball over and throw another pick 6 and, turn the ball over too much, I see the Rams winning this game. I just don't see Carolina scoring enough points to consistently keep up with the Rams. The Rams, in my opinion, are at least putting up, a minimum of 24 points on this team, minimum, and you're getting Devontae Adams back. I just trust the Rams more in this spot. They're the better team, and again, I just think, even though they've played each other, I have to lean the Rams. It would be, I don't even know. I don't even know the right word to put. It would just be, I guess, crazy, ridiculous, whatever you want to say, for me to actually objectively choose the Panthers. There's no way that I could ever really think that. So I'm going to go with the Rams here. Score prediction-wise, I'm going to go Rams. I'm going to go Rams 31. I'm going to go Panthers 17. Yeah, Rams are going to the divisional round. Next, we have Green Bay heading into Chicago. This is our 3rd matchup for this game this year. Only a couple weeks ago did we see this same game in Chicago as well. And there's a lot to talk about with this one. Surprisingly, Green Bay actually opened up as favorites heading into this week, which was very interesting, but also makes sense just because, look, I mean, Green Bay beat them in Green Bay with Love. They almost beat him in Chicago with Malik Willis until they collapsed. So I can understand why the bookmakers are favoriting the Packers. And again, I have not checked where that line is at now. I'm recording this on a Thursday, so maybe that's changed. But I don't know. This is one of the more tough games to predict. But as a neutral, I'm so excited for it, and I'm glad this got the Saturday night slate. Again, the NFL is cooking. And again, there's a lot to just consider with this one. Love is back, so now Love is going to play. We have not seen Love in Chicago this year, but obviously he's been able to beat them there in the past. And I think, of course, having Love back, I think he will be able to add some elements to this offense. Now, how much does the offense really change? Not sure, just because, again, from what we saw from Malik Willis, he looked really, really good down that stretch. So I still see the offense clicking, but maybe there's just a little bit more of a higher clicking potential just with Love because, again, he has more reps with these receivers. But at the same time, I am worried about the Packers because Love hasn't played in a couple weeks. Maybe he's going to be a little rusty. We don't know. Also, the injuries to the Green Bay defense, specifically Michael Parsons, is a huge X factor. Again, it's a lot to consider. And then when we look to Chicago is a very, very weird team to predict just because, again, they look like frauds in the beginning of the year. Then they finally start to turn it up. And then last week, in arguably the biggest, well, not the biggest, but one of the biggest weeks of their season to clinch the 2 seed, they play their starters in Chicago and lose to the Detroit Lions. That was awful. If it wasn't for the Eagles losing to the Commanders, they would have choked away the 2 seed. So The Bears, I don't really know what to make of them just because every single time I start feeling good about them, they then start to do some whack stuff, and I'm just like, okay. Also, in my opinion, their defense did not look very good against the 49ers. I mean, they let them put 40 on them, so there's a lot to consider here. But when I really, really think about it, I'm going to go with the Bears. I think it's going to be a very, very close game, so I totally understand where the spread is coming from. But give me the Bears. I think the Bears get it done just because they're at home. The crowd obviously is going to be into this one, but of course it's Packers-Bears. Like, this is just going to be insane. And I just think that they're going to be able to do enough, just enough, to get by the Packers. I think the keys to success for the Bears are really stop at the slow starts, be able to score consistently, at least try to get points every single quarter, because you can't keep doing this late rally thing that you did against the Packers a couple weeks ago. You even tried doing it against Detroit last week. It just didn't work because not every single game is going to go your way in those scenarios. And I think they can at least move the ball a little bit on that Packers defense, especially again with the injury to Parsons. And of course, I guess some keys if the Packers were trying to win this game, really just don't turn the ball over if you're Love. Be careful with what the defense gives you. I know Love likes to go deep a lot, but sometimes you're going to have to take the check down. But overall, I just see the I see the Bears getting it done. Give me the Bears like 23-20. It's going to be that type of game. Maybe it'll be, settled by a special teams field goal, something like that. But give me the Bears to advance to the divisional round. Then we have the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the 49ers. I will actually be at that game. And just to make it clear for you guys, if you haven't already watched me, I am a huge Eagles fan, so I'm going to try to be as objective as possible here. And we'll start with the 49ers. First, I mean, there's definitely some strengths what the 49ers have. I really have liked what their offense has done this year. Surprisingly, it's been pretty efficient for the lack of weapons that they've had. McCaffrey has not really been able to get it going in the run game, but man, he has been a threat in the passing game. I loved what I've seen from Purdy ever since he came back from injury. But really, that's all I can say. I have some concerns for the 49ers because we don't know if Trent Williams is going to play. That is something that is still up in the air. I mean, he hasn't practiced yet, so that's something to keep an eye on. And then when you look at the defense, I mean, that defense is banged up. No Fred Warner. Their linebacker last week also just got hurt. There's just a lot to consider here with the 49ers. When we get to the Philadelphia Eagles, the main story about the Eagles all year has been their offense and how lackluster it's been. It's been objectively just not a great offense. They don't score a lot of points. I mean, they'll go halves without scoring points. But then there are times where they look good as well. It's really, in my opinion, a play calling issue. But regardless, that's really the Eagles offense. Then we get to the Eagles defense. The Eagles defense has been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal, and that is the main reason why I'm going to pick the Eagles in this game. I'm going with the Eagles just because I really, really like, number one, how the Eagles defense matches up against the 49ers offense. I think the Eagles corners can take away any receiver really on the 49ers offense, but specifically, Quinyon Mitchell, he won't travel, but still, anytime Jennings is on him, I think Quinyon Mitchell can handle him. I was hearing maybe they could even potentially put Cooper DeJean on Kittle at times. So I think if you can take away CMC and Kittle, then in my opinion, you're winning the game, because I don't know how else the Niners are going to consistently move the football. I just don't think they have the wide receiver personnel to get it done. Also, I do think the Eagles' pass game can exploit the weak Niners secondary. The Niners only have 6 interceptions all year. It's not like they're causing a lot of turnovers, and the Eagles, their whole philosophy this year and even in the past has been, if you don't turn the ball over, they objectively just win a ton of games. So I think the Eagles do it in a gritty game. It's going to be low scoring for sure. Give me the Eagles like 21-17, something like that. It's going to be close, but I think the Eagles get it done. I just think their offense is going to be able to do just enough against that 49ers defense, and I think that Eagles defense is going to just make it really, really hard on that 49ers offense. And just from a football standpoint, watching Vic Fangio and Kyle Shanahan try to out-scheme each other is just going to be pure cinema, but I have the Eagles going to the divisional round. Now to the AFC. We're going to start in Jacksonville. The Jags are hosting the Bills, and this is a really, really interesting game. Let's start with the Bills. The Bills, again, in similar fashion, they're not necessarily a one-man show this year, but they heavily relied on Allen. And then, of course, James Cook, the leading league rusher. They've been relying on those two, and that's really been their offense. The receivers, I mean, when you look up the receiving yards for the receivers on that team, it is honestly a joke. They obviously heavily rely on the double tight end sets, either if they're getting to Knox or they're getting to Kincaid. And then, of course, the Bills' defense, I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest, but their secondary has been playing better, so there is something to hang your hat on if you are a Bills fan. And when we get to the Jags, I think the Jags have been such an interesting story this year. Trevor Lawrence did not look great in the beginning of the season, and then something clicked. Liam Cohen did his job, and my God, has Trevor Lawrence fully developed? Is he here? He looks great now. I mean, he's third in the MVP voting. Their pass game is just very efficient. They have multiple weapons. They also have a great running game. I just love how the Jaguars offense is looking overall. And then when we get to the defense for the Jags defense has looked really good too. They have a lot of personnel. They can get to the quarterback. They can rush the passer, and they have one of the best rush defenses in the league. And that's the reason why I'm going to go with the Jags. It's mainly because, again, if you can shut down that run with Buffalo, you're going to put so much pressure on Josh Allen. And we've seen traditionally when Allen has to do everything, it's just not going to work. I feel like it's just so much on one guy to consistently get things done. And if things don't go his way, then what else are they going to do? Because, again, I see the Jags not necessarily shutting down the Bills' run, but they're going to make it more difficult than it usually is. And then, of course, I do think that the Jags' offense will be able to score and put up a little bit more pressure on that Bills defense. Again, I'm curious to see how the secondary matches up, but still, I just think the way that the Jags offense has been clicking as a whole, specifically when it comes to the play calling and the passing game, I think they'll be able to do enough against that Bills secondary. So give me the Jags to go to the divisional round. Score predictions, give me the Jags. I think it could be weirdly high scoring, but also a low scoring game. I'm going to go Jags 28, Bills 24. The next game we have is the Chargers heading into New England. This, again, I'm going to keep saying it, is an interesting matchup to me just because we're seeing a team with the Chargers. We'll start with them. A team that has battled a ton of adversity this year, having not one but two tackles down for pretty much the entire year, has made their offense a living hell at times. I mean, Herbert has been pressured at an insane rate. I think it's one of the highest ever in NFL history, but yet he still managed to have his best season in the NFL, in my opinion. Also, he's not really throwing to a lot of guys. Yes, Quentin Johnson has made some plays here and there, but he's not a number one. Ladd has had a little bit of a down year. I've liked what I've seen from Hampton. He's been able to get it going, but he hasn't been able to play all year. So there are some questions with the Chargers offense. They've been efficient, but at times they don't score a lot either. Again, it's very hit or miss with them. It also depends on the matchup, of course, but still, that's some things to consider. Their defense, though, has made some great plays and has really kept them in a lot of games. I mean, I think of the Eagles game, 4 interceptions against Jalen Hurts. It's the main reason they won. But then when we get to New England has been a great story themselves as well. Yes, they've had the easy schedule, but Drake May has had a borderline, if not MVP type of season. His development has been great to watch. Vrabel has completely turned the culture around with this team. Their rushing attack, both Ramondre Stevenson and Henderson, have been very fun to watch. And surprisingly, the Patriots receivers have done better than I expected. Diggs has had a better season. Booty, there's some other guys. Williams, you have Hunter Henry as one of the better tight ends, at least this year. I'm not saying he's a top 5 tight end or anything, but I thought he had a pretty good season. There are some concerns with the New England defense. They have been good, but they do not really get to the passer much with their pass rush. So there are some questions there, but with this game being in New England, I just see New England getting it done. I trust their offense more than the Chargers. Now, part of me really just wants to pick the Chargers because how many years can you keep losing in the playoffs? I mean, you have a new head coach now. It's continued. Obviously, they got that awful loss last year in Houston, but I just see New England getting it done. I trust their offense more. The main matchup I'm going to be watching in this game is the New England offense versus the defense of the Chargers. Are the lights going to be too bright for Drake May in that offense? Can the Chargers defense maybe force a turnover or two and give the Chargers offense good field position so they can get extra points? Again, we will have to see. I'm going to go with the Patriots 24. Give me the Chargers to have 20 points. I have the Pats going to the divisional round. And the last game we have on Monday night is the Houston Texans heading into Pittsburgh. Let's start with the Texans. Everyone knows it. The Texans have had the best defense in the NFL. I could go on about them for days. Again, they have just every single position stacked to the bone. I mean, that defensive line has been phenomenal. You have a great secondary led by Stingley. You have some great linebackers as well. And then we get to the Houston offense. This is where I've had some concern. They've been very, very inconsistent. Stroud has had a weird year. There hasn't been much of a running game. But Nico Collins is still there, and they've had some other guys to rely on when they need to. But really, they've been carried a lot by their defense. And a similar conversation could be said about the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. The Pittsburgh Steelers surprisingly made the playoffs. I didn't think they were even going to make the playoffs, but Aaron Rodgers has looked better than I expected him to look with that personnel and just overall this team. Aaron Rodgers has done enough to get them in the playoffs. They've come up short in some spots like the game against Cleveland a couple weeks ago, but really their offense relies on a lot of just one-on-one routes to DK Metcalf down the field and getting the ball to Warren and Kenny G in that run game and pass game. That's really what makes them click. Other than that, though, I don't love their offensive personnel, though their offensive line has done a pretty good job, in my opinion. And then we get to the Pittsburgh defense. Again, it's what we expect. It's not an elite defense, but it's a solid defense. They've been pretty good overall. They're, again, more of a bend, don't break type of defense. Just depends, again, on who they're playing, of course. But I think they can do enough. And this game, in my opinion, is going to be the ugliest one out of every single game we have this upcoming weekend, just because, again, it's two offenses that are inconsistent to okay at best, and then two good defense. Well, one good defense and one elite defense. So I'm going to go with Houston here. I'm going to go with Houston. In my bracket, it's the only team that's going to win on the road. And personally, I have to trust the Houston defense. I think they did show some cracks at the end of the year, but in my opinion, their personnel just matches up so well against the Pittsburgh offense. I mean, you can take away DK Metcalf, and then consistently, if you can try to get to Aaron Rodgers, we now know Aaron Rodgers does not like to get hit as much. He's not going to hold on to the ball as much. So if you can even, not necessarily sack him a ton, but get the ball out of his hands and force a ton of incomplete passes, I think that's going to aid the Houston team. So give me the Texans. I think that they do just enough. It's going to be ugly. Give me the Texans like 17. Give me the Texans 17-13. I have them winning and going to the divisional round. That's all I had in this one. Really, really enjoyed this. Love breaking these games down. I was thinking about this earlier in the week when I was trying to plot all this stuff out. Again, there's a lot of other sports stuff going on, as you guys have seen. I've done some other uploads. Would you guys be interested in moving forward, at least for the divisional round, because I would be doing this for the conference championships. Would you be interested in a one-on-one breakdown of each game? I would still do a recap video, a preview video like this, because we're going through all the games. But would you guys be interested in a preview of each game? So the 4 divisional games, it's just going to be a breakdown of each single game. We go a little bit more in depth, talk a little bit more about certain players, certain stats. If that interests you, please let me know, because I would love to do that next week. I just need to know if people would be interested or not. Maybe I'll still end up doing it. We'll see. But just wanted to ask about that. But regardless, if you liked the video, I really, really appreciate it. I would really appreciate if you give it a like. That's what I meant to say. If you like this type of content, feel free to subscribe. We're going to be continuing to break down the NFL. Leave any of your predictions down in the comments section below. God, I am struggling with this freaking outro. Then we have my TikTok in the description down below. And if you made it this far in the video, I greatly, greatly appreciate you guys. And I will see you on the next one. Peace, guys.